I just feel that Celtic should have more in their ranks, especially on the bench today. I know you've got £11 million Arnie Engels on the bench, but is he really going to come on and change a game? They just don't have. I don't think they have enough quality, strength and depth in the team just now. And obviously, Brendan Rodgers knows that. He's desperate for signings up front, and he definitely need a goal scorer. I was actually chatting to Pat Nevin at half time, and he made a good point. See if Kyogo was starting today. Do you think he would have scored 2 or 3? Do you think Celtic would have 2 or 3 in front at half time?
Potentially.
I think he would have. So that kind of tells you all you really need to know. They need a goal scorer, they need a striker. And another thing as well, Johnny Kenny coming on ahead of Shin Yamada.
I thought that was a bit peculiar.
Is that maybe because he's a bit rusty? I don't even think you can say Shin Yamada's rusty because he looked sharp as attack and when he came off the bench in Al Ali. Obviously, he scored that winning penalty as well in the shootout, which you'd think would be a confidence booster and he'd at least get some game time today. But Johnny Kenny, I don't know, is he ahead of Shin Yamada in the pecking order? Is Brendan sending a message to the board? I don't know. There's a lot of kind of questions today. Another thing as well, I think Liam Scales ahead of Austin Trusty, slightly harsh. But again, Scales did nothing wrong. He was solid. I think Mikael Mandron's a handful up front, and Scales dealt with any kind of danger, so fair play to him. But Austin Trusty coming off the bench, felt it was a wee bit harsh. I think he really impressed over pre-season, and at £6 million, he's got a point to prove. And I was surprised to see him bench, but it just shows you, we're talking about the lack of quality and strength and depth, but at the same time, I suppose you've got £6 million Austin Trust on the bench, you've got an £11 million Arnie Engels on the bench, you've got a £3-4 million Paulo Bernardo on the bench at Celtic. I think they're still devoid of quality. I just don't know themselves in this position.
Go tell that guy to shut up.
Apologies. No, he's always speaking to the managers now.
Well,
I guess here.
The comments are coming in thick and fast, and a lot of them are on Adam Idah. Mark says, God, that was a hard watch. Idah and Yang should never start again for Celtic again. Idah is the worst starting number 9 since Stuart Slater. He should be punted ASAP. Do you share those sentiments, Keith?
Well, that's going back a bit Stuart Slater, isn't it? Look, you know what my thoughts are on Adam Idah. I think that he's got all the tools. I just wonder if he's got the stomach for it. I look at him and I think he looks a bit lacklustre. I just want more. Every time I see Adam Idah start a game for Celtic, I'm thinking, are you giving everything, big man? Are you really emptying the tank out there? Because I'm not convinced that he is. I think he coasts. I think that his physical strength, his pace, he should be more of a challenge for central defenders. I don't think he puts himself about enough. And I just come back to every time I see him play, I think you could be given another 10% here. And I just don't see it in him. And I'm afraid that it's getting to the point now, Mark is always on commenting, doesn't like him at all. And it is getting to the point now, if he's not going to get the finger out and start delivering, then he's actually wasting the opportunity of a lifetime to make himself a real hit at Celtic Park. He's got the number 9 shirt. And if on the back of that performance today, if Brendan Rodgers has got another striker in mind, and I'm sure he will do, he'll be going to his board saying, you need to deliver. You need to deliver, because that team cannot have Adam Idah as its focal point in attack. It's not going to work. And unfortunately for Adam Idah, he's had too many chances now, and he just doesn't look like he's going to deliver. I mean, obviously, the night he got 2 goals at Aston Villa, you're thinking, is this it? Is this his moment? Is this when he catches fire? But it just doesn't look as if it's going to happen for him. And as soon as he went off the pitch, Celtic looked as if they carried more threat. Now, whether that's because of Luke McCowan or what Forrest was doing down the right-hand side, but if Adam Idah stays on that pitch, I'm not entirely sure that Celtic win the game. And that's a very difficult state of affairs for him in terms of justifying his position. I think Brian's absolutely right. I've said it for ages now. Celtic really need to give their manager a quality centre forward before the transfer window closes. And I think there was a bit of subtle messaging coming out in many of the decisions that Brendan Rodgers made today, perhaps in his after-match assessment as well. subtle things as about as subtle as a hammer over the head, because what he's saying is, this is what I've got, and it's plainly not good enough. Because Celtic are in a weaker state right now than they were in January, and Brendan Rodgers will find that unacceptable. We talked about it last week, Daniel, and Brendan Rodgers came out ahead of the weekend and said pretty much everything that I'd been saying. Celtic's board have a responsibility to match his ambition. If he doesn't believe that they're going to do that, he'll not be staying, and he's made that crystal clear now.
Ryan, we're getting a few people in the comments as well talking about Kieran Tierney. You mentioned him a little bit there in your summary. He obviously went off, I think, just past the hour mark. He didn't look... people saying he is injured, he's not injured. Either way, I would Celtic need to get another left back in. Liam Scales can play there. He's very competent, but he's not a left back, in my opinion.
Yeah. To be honest, we were talking this off air. I was surprised when I read, I think it was maybe coming from Sky or BBC, that Tierney had come off with an injury. He didn't look injured to me, I must say. I think he just kind of more or less went out of steam a wee bit. Obviously, he's not played much football for Arsenal, and he was up and down that left-hand side, rampaging up the left flank for certainly most of the first half. And then I think he came off just after the hour mark. So I think for his second debut, it was outstanding, especially in the first half. I mean, I don't know how many balls he needs to lay in a plate for Adam Idah to score. Just on Adam Idah, I can agree with much of what Keith said there. I think he's just a really frustrating player. Like Keith says, I think he's got all the tools to be a Celtic striker, but for whatever reason, he just feels as if he's not giving that 100%. He's still got another, he's still got so much more to give. I think that was the case again today. But yeah, Tierney, I thought he played extremely well on the left-hand side. It was interesting because I didn't see any sign of the fullbacks playing inverted. They were bombing forward, overlapping runs past Yang. Yeah, past Yang, past Maeda. So I wonder if we're going to see a different style for Celtic this season. Because, they don't have... I mean, obviously, Kieran Tierney and Alistair Johnson, that's not their best position. They're best suited to, obviously, overlap, and that's the trademark. And bombing forward, so rather than tucking into the centre. So it was an interesting shift today, and I wonder how that will go going forward, especially in Europe. You come up against these elite teams. But yeah, as I say, I thought Tierney played really well today. I didn't see any injury. I think he might have just kind of run out of steam a wee bit towards the end, and it was a really good second debut.
He looked a bit stiff coming off the pitch, Ryan, but that's probably understandable.
He got a mass. Yeah, he got a bounty section towards the end. He was walking around obviously the traditional lap of honour. The Green Brigade were chanting his name, and they seemed to be pretty chuffed with that. So I don't think he's anything to worry about. We'll probably hear more from the manager on that, but he certainly didn't seem to take a heavy knock or anything like that. So it's maybe just a act of caution. But I think just on in terms of what you said, Dan, about a left back, it's Inamura wasn't on the bench today. Again, is that another message from the manager to the board that he needs another left back? I think he hinted at that in Friday's press conference, that he wasn't fully convinced that Inamura would be an able deputy for this season going forward. So I wouldn't be surprised to see another one come in. Liam Scales came in, shifted out to the left back, did a job, but he's not going to be the answer if Kieran Tierney gets an injury and you need somebody to fill in for him, especially in the Champions League. It's just not going to work. So I think definitely a left back is going to be on the wanted list.